Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, my name is Lillian Walker Broker and Equity Maximization Specialist in Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, and surrounding Orange County communities. Today our show is on why isn't my home selling? Have you ever wondered why your home isn't selling? Why is no one coming to see your home for sale? Why aren't realtors and brokers coming by to preview my home for sale? Why aren't we getting any phone calls? Why aren't we getting any text messages or email inquiries? Why are so many people coming by to see it, but no one's making an offer? Why are we getting such lowball offers on our home for sale? Why did my neighbor's house sell so quickly and mine's still sitting on the market? My home is so much nicer and has so much better improvements than theirs. Why did no one come to our open house? Are you a homeowner with a house on the market and you have all these type and other similar questions floating through your head? Why? Are you sick and tired of swimming in a sea of whys? You have been praying for an answer, and today is your lucky day. Although I can't guarantee or claim to know the answer to all your questions, and I have not seen your home, what I can tell you is that over my 20-year career, I've seen patterns that are blatantly obvious to me as a result of seeing thousands of homes and multiple listing service sheets. Some of those patterns serve sellers well, and others hurt them and keep them from their goal of selling what is usually the most expensive asset they own. And I have helped hundreds of people like you, with family like yours, exit out of where they are and walk into the home of their dreams, or at the very least, a right-sized home. So we're going to talk about today about the different things that affect the marketability of your home and why it is that you are having this issue of your home not selling. And so I'm going to start with one of the 7 secrets. In fact, I wrote a book not too long ago, earlier this year, that's called The 7 Secrets to Selling Your Home in 90 Days or Less, Guaranteed. And the very first secret is the real estate formula. And the real estate formula is basically the factors that affect the marketability of a home. So let's talk a little bit about this. The factors that affect the marketability of a home are 3 primary components. And they are, get your pencil and paper ready, and please take these notes. If you take nothing away from anything I ever say or do, please remember the 3 factors that affect the marketability of the home, which is also known as the secret real estate formula. And just so that you know, this real estate formula works in the desert, by the mountains, in the valleys, at the beach, anywhere in North America, coast to coast, from Canada to the United States. It works. And the 3 factors are price, plus access, plus wages, equal a sold home every single time. So let's talk about these factors that affect the marketability of a home. Now, the first factor that we're going to talk about is price. So in the current real estate climate that we're in, it's really important that you price your home at market value or just a hint below. If, buyers and sellers alike always start their search first on the internet. And so today's home buyer is very savvy, and they have a pretty good idea as to what the homes in your neighborhood are going for. And so typically a home buyer will start their search first. They have a city in mind, and then they narrow it down to a zip code in a city, and then they further narrow that down into a specific neighborhood or a series of neighborhoods within a zip code. They buy into the neighborhood first, and then they buy into specific houses. So if you put, for example, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home that's 1,500 square feet in the 92647 zip code of Huntington Beach, a buyer and sellers in the neighborhood alike who are looking on the internet will have a fairly good idea as to what the typical 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot home in the 92647 zip code is going for. So if you're overpriced, that's going to really stick out. And people will not bother to go see it because they're going to think, that house is out of range, it's out of whack, it's probably a very unmotivated seller, and they're not serious about selling. They're just testing the market. So oftentimes they won't even bother to go see it. So you're shooting yourself in the foot by asking too much, thinking, oh, well, let me ask for a little bit more, give some negotiating room, yada, yada, yada. No, that's not how it works. And we'll explain further more of the psychology of selling, not in this particular show, but we'll get into the 7 secrets that will unveil to you how the psychology of selling and buying and how you have to posture yourself in order to really get your home sold. So price, it's paramount that you know how to price your home at market value or a little bit under. So pricing. The second marketability factor that affects the marketability of a home is access. So let's talk about access issues, which are, you would think are obvious, but sometimes aren't very obvious. Access issues have things to do with things like how often you can get in and out of the home. So it's important to have a lockbox on your property from sunrise to sunset. In a perfect world, if I could wave my magic wand, I would say from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. Now, we all know that that's not a realistic expectation, but let's put the pause button here for a second. And let me tell you that part of your competition does have not just that availability, but the exposure is even greater, from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. Now, who are these people who have this type of accessibility to the homes that are on the market that are competing with yours? Well, it's really simple. And if you think about it, it can be very obvious. And those are bank-owned properties. Those are properties that were foreclosed upon. The occupants were evicted. The bank took the property back as a foreclosure. They've handed that property now to an REO broker like myself. Now that house is vacant, completely vacant. Typically on REOs, we're required to put not only an electronic lockbox on there, but also a combination lockbox. That makes it possible for anybody and everybody who's on the real estate board to get access to that property however many times they want to see that property. If they want to get in there 5 to 10 times a day with a particular buyer or a certain number of buyers, anybody with a real estate license who's a member of the board who has an electronic key can get into that property. So that's free access at any time. The other party that is also similar to a bank-owned property or foreclosure would be brand new homes in your community. Brand new homes in your community that are at the same price point as your home. And when I say price point, I'm going to say give or take $50,000 in either direction, plus or minus. Brand new homes. Again, these are investor-owned homes. They're homes that are owned by builders and developers. Oftentimes, they're done in phases. These brand new homes, again, they're staged to look absolutely beautiful with the latest and greatest furnishings and the latest and greatest color schemes by designers. And these properties are open typically from 9 or 10 a.m. till about 6 p.m., 7 days a week. And again, the public can go see these properties multiple times. Somebody can go in before work, at lunchtime, and after work and check out a property to their heart's content without having to disturb anybody because it's an empty home. So access. Let me tell you a few little stories about access. About 5 years ago, about a year after I'd opened my Exit Realty franchise, we had a couple who had a series that were, unfortunately, I would love to say it was just 1 or 2 or 3 events, but they had a series of calamities that they were faced with. And they were put in the predicament where they had to sell their home. And it was a situation where they were going to have to short sell their home. They were seriously delinquent on their payments, and they needed to get rid of the home quickly. Now, I explained to them the real estate formula. Price plus access plus wages equal a sold home. Now, they said, not a problem. We can put a lockbox on the home. You can show it at any time. The wife said she was normally home, which normally she was home. She was actually fighting a terminal illness and was unable, to work. So she was home the majority of the time. However, she was in and out of the hospital as well. One of the impediments to getting into the home, even though every time I called and I reached her, we were able to get into the home, she had two very large-sized dogs, and one was a 180-pound St. Bernard and a 160-pound pit bull, both of which lived inside the home and was best friends with their 12-year-old son. Now, at first thought, because she was home most of the time, I thought this wasn't going to be too much of an issue because they also had a fairly large-sized lot and they had a trailer in their backyard. So the missus said, every time you call, just let me know, have them just go direct on the MLS, but just call me first so I can take the dogs and I can put them in the trailer. That way the dogs are nowhere to be found inside the house or in the front or backyard. So we figured that's harmless, right? Well, that was fine and dandy until, lo and behold, unbelievably, not only did she end up in the hospital, but the husband ended up with a very serious injury on the job. He was in construction, and he ended up in the hospital. Both of them were hospitalized unexpectedly because they were both emergency type situations. Both of them, within 24 hours, ended up being hospitalized and put in ICU. It ended up lasting almost 30 days. And meanwhile, I had agents and brokers calling me to get access to the property and wanted to show. And the first phone call I get is from a very frantic female agent saying how scared of a witch she was because she went to open the front door. And when she was unlocking, the super key at the front door, the only thing between her and the face of this very large pit bull was a very thin screen, window screen between her and the pit bull, to which she ran like a bat out of hell, and needless to say, she never came back. We had probably, if my memory serves me right, somewhere about 10 or 12 agents that this happened to. None of those agents came back with their clients. Both them and their clients were petrified, and no one's going to risk their life with this big beast of an animal. And again, the only thing between them and the dog was a very thin window screen. So it turned out to be a very unfortunate series of events. Needless to say, that home ended up going to foreclosure. The house was priced right. The access was less than desirable. The wages were right, but we couldn't sell the home because it had a serious access issue. Some examples of a few other things that can serve as an access issue. So bottom line, just to recap, animals, we understand that the family pet is a family member and a very integral part of the family unit. However, pets often serve as an impediment, into access of the home. Whether the dog is dangerous or not doesn't make a difference because the realtor coming in doesn't know if that dog will bite or not. And maybe your little Chihuahua is harmless. Maybe your little Chihuahua will bite you, or bite, heaven forbid it should bite either an agent or a prospective buyer. I can't imagine the liability for a homeowner that a homeowner would want to put themselves in that predicament because obviously they would be responsible for that. But the bottom line is you're keeping people from looking at your home. And so that is not a good situation. What I recommend is that you take your family pet, have the pet stay with a family member for the first 2 weeks that the home is on the market, or have your pet, stay with them. And the most important thing is that you have that dog or series of family pets moved for at least the first 2 weeks, and then adjustments can be made thereafter, okay? And if you can't find a place to have your dog for the next couple of weeks, then I would say, at the very least, make sure you're able to move the animals or take them on a walk every time somebody comes. But that gets old really quick. So optimally, you would have them housed somewhere for at least the first couple of weeks. Then the last element that I'm going to talk about is wages. Oh, I just thought of another thing. The other thing that's an impediment to access, sometimes you have gates, or if you're in a condominium complex and you have a gate code, you need to make sure that you have a gate code and provide it to your realtor so that we can provide that to the agents that are coming so that they can get easy access. Because if they can get to the unit specifically, but they can't get into the entire complex, that's going to be an access impediment too. Also, kids who are sleeping. We can put, if you have kids that sleep normally from 1 to 3 every day, or from 10 to 11 every morning, that's fine. Just bear in mind, it's the first couple weeks that are most critical when the home first comes on the market, and that's the biggest splash that you're going to have is the first couple weeks. Okay. So the third element we're going to get into is wages. Now you're thinking, wages, what are you talking about? In real estate, there are commissions, not wages. But that's exactly what a wage is. It's money that's earned in exchange for work done. However, let me tell you this. One of the things that professional real estate sellers know, and when I talk about professional real estate sellers, those are investors who flip property on a regular basis. They don't just do 1 or 2 a year. They're doing 1, 2, or 3, or 4 or more a month. Banks who own property that they foreclose on and they're going to turn over back onto the market, they know about the real estate formula. They know how to price a property, correctly at market value or a little bit under. They know some of these 7 secrets. And so you need to be aware of that too as a homeowner so you can get on the same page as your real estate professional and get your house sold. Because after all, your goal is to get exited out of that home and get into the next home of your dreams, not to get stuck into that house. You want to move on. So if that's your goal, let's get it priced right. Let's get good access to the home. And professional real estate professionals know that wages or commissions are not just for the work performed, but it also serves as an advertising tool. That's right. You're going, advertising tool? That makes no sense. Let me explain. The reason why the commission also serves as an advertising tool is because day in, day out, developers, brand new builders of homes, and real estate investors both market to real estate agents and brokers on the real estate board because they know that we control 80 to 90% of all buyers out there. Because buyers come to us, to our real estate offices, to our real estate website. They come to us first before they go out looking in person. And because they know that, they routinely send us advertisement brandishing 3, 4, 5% commissions, saying, bring your buyers to our new development, because they recognize that that commission serves more than one purpose, and it also serves as a carrot or as an advertising fee to grab our attention so that we, all things being the same. If that house at this development in Huntington Beach is 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet, that's the exact same criteria that my buyer is looking for, why wouldn't I go show them a brand new home? And furthermore, they're offering me 4 or 5%, and everywhere else I'm getting 3 or 2 or 2.5. Makes sense to go over here where they're going to offer me 4 or 5, and my buyer's going to get a brand new home, and they get to pick out all the different amenities and so forth. It's a win-win for everyone. So that's what you're up against. And so wages are the commission, but it's not just for the work performed to bring a ready, willing, and able buyer and conduct the activity of negotiating the contract and getting the deal closed. It also serves as an advertising fee. And bear in mind on the MLS, when agents are looking for property for sale that's listed actively on the multiple listing service, which all brokers and agents who are members of the board actively, that's where we market, one of the places that we market our properties for sale, we see, you can sort by commissions. And if we put a minimum of 3%, your property at 2.5% or 2% will never show up, as opposed to a 4 showing up on our screen. That really pops off the screen when you have a boxy looking 4 as opposed to a round shaped 3. Does that make sense? Okay, so you've got price plus access plus wages equal a sold home every single time in every single market in every single place. Now, let me mention one other factor that I think is really important that you keep in mind when pricing your home. You want your real estate broker and or agent to be a pricing strategist, and you have to price your home based on the condition in which your home is in. So let me explain a little further on that. If your home is in average condition and the average home that is selling is in superior condition, let's say that the 80 to 90% of the homes that are selling in your neighborhood all have granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, they have trash compactors, they have ice makers, they have built-in wine coolers. Let's say they all have jacuzzis and built-in pools, and they all have hardscape front and back, and your house isn't quite up to that degree. Let's say they all have 6-inch crown molding, etc. And your home has tile countertops, and it doesn't have a wine cooler, it doesn't have a trash compactor, it doesn't have stainless steel appliances. We already said it had tile counters, etc. Well, guess what? Then your home isn't comparable to those homes, and an adjustment has to be made because those houses are in superior quality to yours. If the average home is slightly larger than yours, all those factors need to be taken into account. You want to look at square footage, room count, and the amenities of the home, as well as what kind of upgrades those homes have. So those are things to keep in mind. And your realtor will be able to look through the multiple listing service with you and tell you, okay, these are the comparable homes. Go look at the pictures. Oftentimes, most of the time, we've been in most of those homes that are being comped out against your home. And if your house is superior or inferior, adjustments can be made all around the board so that you can come with a bottom line number that is comparable and will not put you out of the market altogether. I hope this makes sense to you. And if you are thinking about selling your home or you would like a free market analysis on your home, just go to our website, clickhomesnow.com. I have a lot of sellers resources. If you go to the buyer and seller tab, and under the buyer and seller tab, you'll see a drop down. And the first thing that's listed under there is free market analysis. So you don't have to go crazy trying to figure out, okay, how do I comp out my house? You can get an idea of homes for value by going to clickhomesnow.com, and under the quick search tab, you can check out what the different homes are going for. But we can give you a more specific market analysis based on our expertise, because I am, after all, a pricing strategist for Huntington Beach, Newport Beach specifically, and a few of the other Orange County communities that are nearby. So I hope this information has been helpful to you. If you want to get your free market analysis, again, just go to clickhomesnow.com, click on the free market analysis tab in the drop down. And as a thank you for joining me today, whether you've listened to this call live or if you're listening to it later on a podcast, I invite you to go to our website and under the buyer and seller tab, I want as a way of paying it forward and saying thank you to you for listening to this webcast and to help you prep for your home for sale. I'd like to give you a 10% off, up to $10,000 off of anything that you purchase at Lowe's, the home improvement store. All you have to do is sign up there on our website, and it'll be mailed directly to your home. It takes about 7 to 10 days for it to get sent to your home. It's a 5x7 coupon that will come to you. Thank you again for joining me. My name is Lillian Walker, and I'd love to help you exit out of where you are and walk into the home of your dreams. And whether you're upsizing, downsizing, or right-sizing, I would love, absolutely adore, to help you. Those are my grains of stand for you today. Be sure to join us soon again. And I thank you. The bottom line is, I always have time for you. Bye-bye.